we have Aurelio. And Aurelio is originally from Austria, and now he's living at Oroville, which is a beautiful community space in eastern, it's kind of southeast, about 6 or 7 hours from here in India. He's a world-renowned organologist, a ceremonial musician, and a sound therapist. Aurelio describes himself as a communal artist, an innovative activist. As the founder and creative director of Swarmam, at the core of his work stands the transformative power of sound and studies, research and practice in Nada Yoga and the integral psychology. And in his session, we're going to be focusing on sound work, from ancient myth to neurological discoveries. He will bring us to a slice of his sound approach to life. So get ready for sound work, from ancient myth to neurological discoveries. Let's give a warm, loving welcome to Aurelio.
Good afternoon, everybody. The essence of sound work is to catch the quality of time and space and align ourselves into it so that we can be with the fullest potential of the moment. I'm very grateful to be here again in Pyramid Valley. It is a very unique place, and I'm relating to it deeply because I just spent the last week with some people who had been at the great undiscovered pyramid in Bosnia, if any one of you heard about that special place. I've also we all had gone through the last weekend through a very special alignment of the Earth in our solar system, and that was the autumn equinox, and which is basically balancing day and night, the solar and the lunar side of our existence. And we were very fortunate, we had the full moon on the equinox. So basically we had 12 hours of solar energies and 12 hours of lunar energies balanced. I don't know actually what you had experienced with it. I'm living in a beautiful reforested oasis on the east coast in Pondicherry in Oroville, and we have the good fortune that our area is like an oasis, and it's not, it's kind of protected from outside influences, and so we can really open to cosmic energies. We had an extremely powerful time last weekend. One beautiful thing of Oroville is also that we have people from all over the world coming together. We have 3,000 people from 48 nations. To really take advantage of our being together, I hope actually that we can co-create this hour which we're sharing, and that we can take best benefit of what is around us. Now, pyramid is a very transformational space. It has a very specific geometry with the focal nodus above and spreading to the earth, but we can also say that all the earth's energies, they are gathering and upheld from a point above. So that's one of the directions we want to work together, with a focal point above, the unknown. We don't know exactly what it is, how it unfolds in this very moment, how it will unfold in this configuration of all the amazing gifts you bring together, and to see what is there, what's present on the planet for us at this moment. Sound work also tells us about the premise that we are all interconnected. Basically, we are living, even when you're in this dual field of matter, we're living in an interconnected world of vibration. So let's say just opening, connect with the apex of the pyramid, what is coming down upon you, and what is there as a foundation from below. To help you, our body is a pyramid in itself, yeah? To help you to just feel a bit, I just have here some special bells. Just go inside your body. The top of the pyramid is the top of your head, and the base is your physical matter. Just opening into that space, open our body, and we share, we create 3 ohms together. Now we're not doing this ohm, we're actually invoking a descending sonic energy. Just take a few deep breaths, filling your body, releasing, clearing, opening your system to what wants to come from above, the apex of the pyramid, the zenith of the sky, the top of the head, and just letting together this sonic energy flow down with 3 ohms. Let's co-create it. Give your voices. Receiving it from above, letting it flow through. Just connect to the resonance of it. Where can you feel it? Where is it present? A sonic seed from above, out of which we'll see in the course of the next hour what unfolds. I give you an image of an environment. A place looks a little bit similar like this. I've been a few years ago in Sarawak, which is the northern part of Borneo, and I was invited there for some very specific work with ex-headhunters. I had some days off and I went to a national park, and I had an old map of that national park and came into the rest cabins. There were visitors from all over the world. I wanted to get away from the people and says, okay, I'm heading to the other side of the national park. What I didn't know or underestimated was that it was primal jungle, partly swamps. So I just walked, started in the morning, walked for 6-7 hours, came deeper and deeper into kind of uncharted territory. The path was partly broken, it was not used anymore, and it started to get dark, and there was a sense thunder and lightning happened, and I said, oh my God, I'm in the middle of green hell. Where will I find shelter in this place? I had my small survival gear with me. Rain was coming and somehow the path was descending down. So I became faster and ran through ever more dense jungle, kind of a bit panicking because it started to rain and it was just lush and green and wet. And I said, where will I put my body to rest after this long hike? So finally, I was praying. I was a bit desperate. I was praying while walking, running. And in the last moment, when the cloudburst broke and water came down like from buckets, there was a rock there, the first rock I had seen in 7 hours, because in the jungle usually there's no rock. I found this rock and I could take shelter under this rock. Very quickly, I took some leaves, brought them together so that I would have some protection, some fire, and that I could make smoke against the mosquitoes. As soon as I settled in and I said, I found a shelter and I'll survive this night, suddenly, just at this moment, it became dark and the jungle became alive. I don't know if any one of you had such an experience. Jungle actually becomes alive in the night. And suddenly, from all directions, from far and left and right and above and coming closer and closer, there were all these unknown sounds and noises, and I didn't even know which animals are there. And it was an amazing experience because it was like all layers of the sonic experience was full, with each animal occupied the bandwidth of it. Yeah. So I was completely, maybe I was in an exhausted special state, I was completely overwhelmed, and it somehow was a reverse experience of cosmic sound. I was like caught in the middle of this amazing fullness, a full spectrum of terrestrial natural sounds. I survived the night, continued my journey. Now, we know from echoacoustics, which is a fairly new discipline, that we can actually know more about an environment and the forest from a recording of that forest than from a visual picture of that forest. That means the sense of hearing informs us in all its detail. So we know now, if we photographed maybe a forest in the Nilgiris or in the Western Ghats, we might see some difference over the last 10 years. But if we have a recording of that forest 10 years ago and now, we would see actually that many of the frequencies are missing because species are disappearing, the life is changing in that environment. So very interesting. We've been focusing the last 2,000 years on visual development, on the sense of seeing, which helped us also to develop the beautiful laterality of our brain hemisphere. But from the teaching I'm coming, one of the aims is to regain the sense of hearing. I had spent 2 days before that excursion, which was kind of like a survival struggle. I spent with this headhunter who, his contact with the father was still headhunters. They were living up in the jungle, 8 hours on the river. And the way he told me how he came into the contact with civilization, actually by then he was already traveling all over the world. He was a United Nations ambassador for headhunter culture. But he came in contact with civilization because his father had hunted a monkey in the jungle, and that monkey actually had some kidney stones. And kidney stones of rhesus monkey are a very prized medicine for Chinese people. So they went into a log boat and traveled 7 hours down the river to the harbor and were selling basically those kidney stones of the monkey, and gains with that money they could bring their first fire weapon back into the jungle. Now when we sat together, I'm hoping that you get this image, and I'm doing it on purpose because in the morning we were all in these cosmic realms. I just wanted to share what an amazing beautiful and versatile place our planet is. So I sat with this musician, and he played a magic lute, which they basically say they got it from a tree spirit, and there was a story with it that that lute could actually heal all the sicknesses of the tribe. While he was playing that lute and their magic music, I took this instrument, I had this instrument with me, and I started to play with it. I heard in his instrument that he had the same tuning like I brought from India. Suddenly this man said, how possible? You know this tuning? This is our sacred tuning. We got it from the tree spirit, and we got it from the ancestors, and the ancestors basically gave it to us so that we can heal the affliction which meet us. I said, well, this melody, basically, we all got as a human species, we got from the universe. This is Rag Bubali. It's the most primal matrix of harmony. It's just built on the fifth, on the principles of Sapa. And you find it in 35 different tribes of the planet, from the jungle, which I didn't know, Falkland Islands, to the Eskimos, to Africa. So very beautiful recognition that in music there is something like a universal matrix in which we are all participating. A professor, German professor of ethnomusicology with whom I had worked in the 70s in Germany, he looked into into the myth of creation. How has our creation come about? What do all the different cultures say about? In about 85% of those myths, the creation is happening through sound, through vibration, through a word, through an activity. In the Indian system, we have the point of stillness, the still point, the bindu above, yeah. And when that bindu is making a throb, life is starting to pulsate through whatever reason, wherever that primal longing is coming, but just in pure stillness, maybe that's not all what life is about. Many of us who are running around and very active, we're looking for that point of stillness, but there had been a time where actually there was only stillness or nothingness. We talk about the principle of bindu. Very beautiful in India. We always remind ourselves there is a point of origin out of which all this dance of creation is emerging. Now, in Western scientific theory, even there we speak about that sound made the creation. Maybe it's a little bit of an American version because we talk about a big bang. Yeah? Indian culture is a little bit more subtle and talks about the sound of Om. That mysterious sound which contains everything else. Later on, we had some Upanishads who explain and dissect the Om a little bit, the Mandukya Upanishad, and it speaks about the 4 layers in the Om. Very interesting Mandukya Upanishad you can bring together with the latest brain research, because the Mandukya Upanishad says that Om signifies 3 different states of awareness. When you're listening to me and you want to catch some information here, which I'm not sure actually I'm offering you, then your beta wave is very active. I hope actually that in that space, and it's also afternoon, where you're in a half dream space, yeah, you're just satisfied of hearing possibly the quality of my voice, sensing your body. You are half dreaming. You're in a different perception. Now, Carlos Castaneda, if some of you are familiar with that work of modern shamanism, he speaks also, we are only integrated when we can even integrate the third state, which is told of in the Om. We have the A, the waking, we have the U, in between space, dreaming, and we have the M, where we are shut off to this apparent reality, and we are in deep sleep. We're in theta waves. We are fully integrated beings, yeah, or in a complete consciousness. If those three states we can experience simultaneously, then we might tap in through a movement of grace into the fourth state of Turiya. In sound language, Turiya is expressed with the resonance of the Om. Yeah. So very beautifully in Indian culture, we have two expressions of that metaphysics of sound. One is Bindu, the still point, and Nada, all the waves coming forth from this still point. That would be the Nirguna way, the abstract way of describing it. But we know that we are very different in our comprehension and approach to life. We also like to personalize. And in that way, we have that figure of Shiva, who is the stillness, the unmoving. And out of his longing, Shakti is born. The movement, the feminine, the creation. And immediately with this movement, suddenly we have two. Out of the one, we differentiate duality. We have stillness and we have movement. We have silence and we have sound. We have the eternal transcendent, and we have the time-born immanent. Now, I feel fortunate that actually what brought me to India were two things. One was this knowledge of Nada Brahman, that ancient tradition, which everyone in the West who is coming in contact with sound work and music therapy, we know that the secret is lying in two cultures. The Indian culture harbors the secret, has an ancient tradition of sound, at the same time the Hebrew tradition. And maybe all together, all the ancient practices of shamanism. So we have the vessel, the body, the structure, the stillness, and all that moves within. We have the movement of thought, of words, the forms, the signums of it, language, and that actually which wants to be communicated through the words. So sound is this beautiful bridge, we call it a golden bridge between matter and spirit. You have that image of the stamba, yeah? The verticality, the connection between below and above. In our cultures, it's called the Jacob's ladder or the climbing we find it again in our spine, the verticality. Very important in sound work. We're living in such a complex, rich impact of sensory, from the sensory field, and how we can find orientation in that one. So the verticality, very important. And the beautiful thing that in sound, we have all the necessary tools of finding our alignment, our orientations, our activities, our coming forward, our coming inward. It's the bridge between gross matter and the subtle unknown. I can hear sound, yeah, I can analyze it, yeah, but it disappears again. I don't know where it leads. I don't know where I'm speaking from. What makes me speaking? What's the motivation behind? Why are we gathering? What are we connecting to with the help of the word, of the spoken word? Okay, so we're still building that up, our container here and the energy which wants to come. So be with the verticality, whatever that means, in that lazy afternoon hour. Just imagine it. It goes through your spine, yeah? And we use the sound of E. The E is basically manifesting that verticality. See just for a moment inside what changes if you breathe and silently tone an E. Let's just try that. Don't need to change even your position. Maybe the E is doing something in your subtle body. Just see if it's possible, even on your in-breath, on your out-breath, you have that E sound. A direction. Let it come in with the in-breath. Share it with the out-breath through your whole body. The silent way of working with speeches and mantras is the most powerful if we have the concentration to do so. Just let it E stream a few times. Let it come in. Let it be in your whole body. Take your whole body into that E streaming. Connecting the above and the below. Can you reach with that E to the apex of that pyramid, to the zenith above? And what does it mean below you? Is there an end to this or a definition to this verticality? Can you reach to the center of the earth? From the unlimited above to the infinite below. Okay, so that is one of the primal axes. Stay with that inner movement and just check on the breath through your nostrils. How is it flowing? We're finding the next orientation between the right and the left. Is it flowing stronger through your left nostril or through your right nostril? Are you active with a solar stream of breath through your right nostril? Or are you more on a resting period through a lunar breath through your left nostril? Does your body need rest and relaxation? Or does it need activity and fire for digestion. Just check in. We have the above and the below, and we have the left and the right. Ida and Pingala, the moon and the sun, the water and the fire. And the left and the right side of the body gives us the opportunity to harness those powers and possibly balance them. The water natural movement is streaming downwards, is cooling us, is relaxing us, is smoothing us, is dissolving structure. And the fire energy is rising. Fire naturally is ascending. We heard a lot in the morning about the process of ascension. But we are not sure. It might be that we are on that planet actually also for the power of descent. Why did we descend into the field? In the integral yoga which we are practicing in Pondicherry, we try to find that balance between ascending, aspiring fire and descending unknown grace coming upon us. In all healing arts, that's the main polarity between the lunar and the solar energies, and how to find that balance between the two of them. Oops. Okay. When we're ascending, we're meeting all those angels. And in the subtler world, all these beautiful beings supporting our journey from above, maybe from different planes of consciousness, maybe from different galaxies. I had the good fortune in my life. I ran away with 19 from Europe because I wanted to find the origin of humanity. I wanted to find this primal paradise. How was this original life? I stayed with those people in Papua New Guinea. That was in the early 80s, and it was still quite amazing because it was real Stone Age. Yeah, so those people were not dressed yet, and their tools they had, just metal was coming into their life. Now, how would you think those people, how would they relate to sound? How did this human capacity of using sound, how did it start? What was the need behind it? What is the function of sound making of music? We know that there's no people on the planet, no society, which doesn't have music. Yeah? Music is the only non-survival need, which also can create dopamine and serotonin pleasure molecules coming into our system, fulfilling us, bringing us ecstatic movements. Usually this is only food and shelter and procreation, which can give us that pleasure, to which the body is reacting in this deep, ecstatic, pleasurable way when it is fulfilled. Why is music having that same capacity? What is the function of music and sound? Now, for those people, there are many different tribes in the highlands in Papua New Guinea, and they're all quite different, and they all have different languages, different customs, different mythologies. Music is the primal gate into reality. For them, somehow, it's like we're living in a dream world, And music brings us in contact with that which is behind creation. Yeah? So there's a very primal, strong force, and music in those cultures fulfills the role of magic, of dealing, communicating, mastering the elements. Music has the function of healing. I've been in the jungle, and that means let's say almost 7 weeks away from, in walking distance from the next medical station. And we had encounters where people fall from a tree, or while walking in the jungle, they break their legs and they have deep wounds. So what you do? Yeah? How to deal with that if you have no hospital or any facilities there? What do you think, how those people working with it? Music and sound fulfills a very important and primal function in it. So I said music and magic, the weatherman, the functions of the shaman, music and medicine, and music and community, music and celebration. How we are using it mostly. Yeah? We are using music as an entertainment, as a good byproduct of what we're doing. Okay, so we want to bring that verticality in, how to say, in a more real term. I'm inviting you actually, before we go into this afternoon slumber, to get up. Let's see what shifts in your energy from sitting. If you don't want to and you're in a really comfortable pose, don't worry. But I'm inviting you, if you can get up, come into a different energy. Just loosen the body a bit. It helps when you loosen the knees, soft knees. You can stroke your face a bit, soft face. Yeah, shoulders, just a little bit of jumping. Some deep breaths, just letting go. A bit turning of that amazing axis we have in our body. Just twist your spine to relax it, to open it up. Yeah, just find that middle axis. One more time, connect to the above and the below, above your head and below your feet. Let's sing that E together. Let's just make this very strong E sound for a few times. Be careful, that sound carries electric energy. Let it take your body. See if it's possible to feel it from the top of the head into the soles of your feet. One more time. Keep that apex above and let that energy spread into an R sound. Feel the verticality in your left and your right legs. Have that image of that R sound. One more time. Okay, and we're just being with that vessel. Ooh. It's sensing that container. That ooh is like a container holding that energy. From one breath, bring it in small breaths. And we morph it into an A. Let your body move with it. Loosen. Just again, feel the resonance in your body, feel the vibration. Check in from the top of the head all the way through your system to the soles of your feet. Feel energy moving. And in all of that, what part of the body is calling you? Which part, which space is calling your attention? Is it in your limbs? Is it specific? Is it on the central column? Is it in a specific energy center? Where is it resonating, or where is it painful? Where is it tense? Where is it pleasant? Just settle in with that attention. Just you can sit. Be with that space, with that physical place, which is in that dance of vibration, which is coming into your awareness. Because in healing work, that's how we would catch it. We would start to see maybe there's a specific place which is actually maybe holds the potential of some, some inspiration, some insight, or maybe it's a place of an old trauma, something which is knotted up, yeah? Just see in your body what was invoked through the shaking up, and listen to it. Now, I just wanted to share that experience. Maybe rattles has been the most significant medical tool over the last 40,000 years of human history. Only with Shushruta we came into knowledge of metal and tools and needles and knives. When I stayed in the jungle, this was the most important medicine. When I came to Tamil Nadu, and that was about 30 years ago, and we participated in many fire walks and rituals in the villages, mostly Amman Koil, Devi things, very powerful things. I found the same methodology in the villages using neem leaves. And what is it doing? It's basically creating that white noise, that interference where everything is equal. Thinking, feeling, sensing, everything becomes one field of experience, and that field gives us the information. Yeah. So I find it very fascinating. With our sophisticated society and in sound healing, we're using many sophisticated instruments. In Svaram, we're making them. But this is still the primal tool. It had been for 30,000 years. Okay, we are making this attempt of zooming very quickly, you know, through this 40,000 years of human history, and hopefully arrive in the present now. So I make a jump from those primal societies, and I stayed a few years with the Stone Age people, also with Australian Aborigines. Fascinating. We have some tribes, the Dogon and the Aborigines, who are very evolved in subtle perceptions, in perceptions of systems, solar systems, stars out there, of which science only is discovering things in the last 20 years. I stayed with Aborigines. I was amazed by their capacity of long-distance communication. Yeah, very intuitive. When I stood in front of the Aborigine matriarchal chieftain of the tribe, there's nothing I could hide. It was like she was looking through me like an X-ray. Yeah? Or you're not feeling well. What's that here on the left side of your thing? I said, no, nothing. I have no problem. Yeah? They could really discern the complete energy field of the body. So out of this, how to say, primal archaic cultures, we have some interesting sophistication. And the question was always with Aborigines, are they actually so primitive that 30,000 years they did not accumulate anything? They had a digging stick, a carrying ball, a water gourd, and 2 instruments. Over 30,000 years, they had the capacity of not storing and accumulating things that were around, because they trusted, they were so much in unity with the universe that they trusted everything is there. So from when we step up, then we have then these beautiful cultures who also had this contact with the solar system, the Incas, the Mayan culture, and very interesting, the Shinto culture. I spent quite some time in the last years in, this is an image of this native man looking for structure, understanding, coming at grips with the power of sound. Who is mastering sound? It only was in a lineage of from the master to an appointed child, a selected child who could pick up that work. Very interesting pictures from the Mayan culture. I'm not sure actually what they're singing. They're back into their brains. Looks like antennas they're having. And those in-between cultures, between the very archaic cultures and the more sophisticated mystic cultures, very interesting. Shinto, Japan is such a wonderful country because in one way it's highest technologically advanced, at the same time it's deeply magical. When you go into the Japanese forest and Shinto shrines, there's so much amazing stuff happening. Yeah, I've been over the last 10 years in Japan and Korea and in China looking at those cultures. Now a big step then from into the sophisticated mystic cultures which were all coming up on the planet on rivers. The Indus, in China, the Yellow River, the Nile, Euphrates and Tigris, in the south, the Kaveri, you know, all these amazing cultures which were based on sitting on a flowing river. Yeah? where Heraclitus, the old ancient Greek philosopher, and the Buddha, they got all the knowledge just observing that flux of creation. Yeah? Not denying it and wanting to be out of creation, but looking at the movement of it and trying to understand and see spirit in the movement of creation. So those were those high cultures in which all of them, the knowledge of sound and phonetics was the first science. The first science developing in those cultures, which some of them were inspired maybe by ancient bygone cultures like Atlantis, sunken Atlantis, or Lemurian contexts. We know actually that many of those river cultures possibly had a common originator behind. In China, they speak about actually the forefathers coming from above and teaching the secrets of society. So those cultures actually, they were coming out of the jungle and the focus on earth and opening to the sky and trying to understand what was happening there. I'm coming to the origin of my culture and my lineage. This is actually the Greek culture, and we talk about one person whom you might know from school in a different context, Pythagoras, or in Sanskrit, Pitta Guru, the original guru. He actually was this very specific historical person who is at the cusp of the mystic knowledge and scientific knowledge. So in those 4 pictures, you see him trying to understand and grasp the differentiation of frequencies. There is this magic, and he had this mystic experience of the music of the spheres, and basically he was looking into how to explain it, and the outcome of his work, he was working on a 1-string instrument on the monochord, and basically very beautifully could balance could understand his mystical experience of the sound of the stars and of the spheres, and he could bring it together with mathematics because he could see, hey, there is a proportion. When I have the full string and I pick half of the string, I have double the frequency. On the third of the string, I find 3 times the frequency. So the great gift we got from Pythagoras was this beautiful synthesis between the mystic experience and logical science evolving. In Chinese, China is an amazing, also 5,000, 7,000-year-old culture. We have the oldest written document of humanity from this culture, which at the same time is an oracle book. And I had been working with some professors in Europe of translating the I Ching. If you heard about the I Ching with its 64 hexagrams, I worked on a composition putting the I Ching in a tonal frequency language. And that was the origin of those wind chimes we are making in Swaram. Now, the music was used always as a mystical means for the individual of connecting the above and the below, the in and the out. But in China, it's a very communal culture. There was not only the yogi going his way and finding that cosmic connection in China, the society and the well-being of all. That was the beautiful balance of Confucianism to Taoism. Yeah? So to create, there are these beautiful scriptures in Chinese history which talk if the music in the state is regulated and in accordance and in alignment with the cosmic principles, then everything is fine and we're living in a golden age. When we're coming out of this tuning and losing the tuning, then society is coming into danger. So for us, from my European culture, that event of the Christ, the 2,000 years ago, was very crucial, not actually from the whole story, but actually that event, which is sadly in the church often not even yet integrated. We see the Christ still hanging on the cross, and suffering, but actually the whole mystery of the Christ is that the Son, or whatever you call it, the avatar, came into matter, was diving into it, and you say into those deepest rocks, and he went through the whole suffering of the earth and actually was rising out of it and finding that middle place between the above and below. You know, I'm still talking about what is our place between this amazing mystery above, the world of angels and intergalactic, agencies, and this amazing deep terrestrial mysteries we're actually living in and have not fully explored yet. So the Christ is kind of like that symbol in that way of that man, the freed man in the middle, still being in touch and fully compassionate with the earth, but at the same time, reaching up to heaven and bringing the light down. Now, in those centuries after that, in the Middle Ages, we had this great music was one of the 7 sacred sciences. And through music, basically, the mystery of our world was kept alive. In those times of the Middle Ages, we spoke about the music, musica mundana, the music in the world, the mechanics of the world, the matrix of the world, the musica humana, the microcosm, which is actually just reflecting that movement of the macrocosm, and the music of humans, which has the function to bridge the skies above with the ground below, and at the same time bring us actually the delight and the joy. I see my time is coming slowly over. I had the great fortune of being with an Acharya of the Indian music. He studied in Pune, Ayurveda. He was actually of German origin, and he was an alchemist, a plant alchemist. I had learned from him small plant alchemy, taking plants and dissecting them into all the different constituents and then making remedies from all of it together. Manfred Junius, he was this surbaha player, a bass sitar player, and I cannot even share what he showed me in the alchemy of music. That what is hidden in the system of Indian ragas and how you actually can put people almost like an operational table. And he showed us ragas where he took us apart basically in all the components of our being. And we were like completely disorientated and lost. And he said, don't worry, relax. And he played another raga and reunited us in a fresh way. It was a complete miracle, actually. I feel very fortunate that we at this moment in our age, we have this possibility of harnessing the secrets of the ancient societies and bringing it together with the knowledge of science also. Okay, so we're coming into that context of us being in this amazingly freshly, or already 100 years old, discovered quantum field. It's actually rather astounding. I mentioned it last year on the Quantum Healing Conference, how it could happen that this revolution of consciousness, which we opened into it 100 years ago, has not found its repercussion into the world of biology and medicine. If we would look at medicine from a point of quantum physics, there would be a completely different approach to it. Yeah? And I actually think that the interest in sound healing is actually symbolic. It's a metaphor. It's like an explosion on the planet. Everybody wants to be with it, tries to learn from it. So many, the whole young generation, everybody. I think it's our interest into the world of frequencies. Yeah? So the last thing to bring it together, I had actually much more material, but I got stuck a little bit in the past. We talk about densities of matter, yeah? Our material body or structures, which we can measure with all the scientific instrumentation. Now then comes the world of energy. I measure the world of energy through frequencies. Sound work brings us the knowledge of frequencies, and in the future, in the next 100 years, medicine is moving more and more towards a medicine of frequencies, a technique of frequencies. We use already, harness already infrared, ultrasound, and all of those frequencies. Yeah? And the third part of integration, we have states of consciousness. Yeah? So I'm basing my sound work on a very clear scientific structure. I work through frequencies, yeah, and I clarify and direct my intent. I channel consciousness. If that is happening, spirit can unfold and bring through moments of grace, bring those moments of healing, of realignment, of fulfillment, of inspiration.